Breaking news into First Take that Robert Saleh, the Jets head coach, has been fired.
New York Jets fire their coach, Robert Saleh.
The New York Jets have fired Coach Robert Saleh.
Breaking news has rocked the NFL. Robert Saleh has been fired as head coach of the New York Jets. But the real story? Aaron Rodgers may have pulled the strings from behind the scenes. The Jets are a team in chaos, and while the front office claims this firing is to save the season, insiders are whispering that Rodgers may have wanted Saleh out from day one. Is Rodgers quietly taking over the Jets? And with rumors swirling about a Davante Adams reunion, could this be the biggest power play in NFL history? Buckle up, this saga is about to explode. The firing of Robert Saleh is sending shockwaves through the NFL. But let's be real, this has Aaron Rodgers' fingerprints all over it. From the moment Rodgers walked into the Jets facility, it was clear he had an agenda. He didn't show up to mandatory minicamp, completely disregarding Saleh's authority. The message was clear. This is my team now. As Stephen A. Smith put it, Rodgers undermined Saleh from the jump, and the writing was on the wall. And now, Saleh is gone, left to clean up the mess Rodgers helped create. Shannon Sharpe didn't hold back either, saying, Rodgers has become more of a problem than a solution. This is a guy who wanted his own offensive coordinator, wanted his own system, and now he wanted his own coach gone. Mission accomplished. The question is, how far will Rodgers go? Is he trying to become the de facto coach of this team, calling all the shots on and off the field? We've seen superstars wield influence before, but Rodgers may be taking it to a whole new level. The relationship between Saleh and Rodgers was strained from the start, and the Nathaniel Hackett hire didn't help matters. Hackett, Rodgers' hand-picked offensive coordinator, seemed to be the only person Rodgers would listen to. Saleh? He was left on the outside looking in. The Jets' offense was a disaster this season, and yet Hackett stays while Saleh is shown the door. Is this just a coincidence, or did Rodgers quietly engineer this entire situation? As if the Saleh firing wasn't controversial enough, there's another twist. Rumors of a Davante Adams trade are heating up, and Rodgers is reportedly pushing hard for the Jets to make the deal. The possibility of a Rodgers-Adams reunion has been whispered about for weeks, and now with Saleh out of the way, it feels like a power move in the making. Rodgers and Adams dominated in Green Bay, and now the star receiver wants out of Las Vegas, citing frustrations with the Raiders' quarterback situation. According to reports, Adams has made it clear that he wants to reunite with either Rodgers or Derek Carr. The Saints are in the mix, but the Jets, now seemingly under Rodgers' control, are the favorites to land Adams. Let's get real. If the Jets pull off this trade, it's because Rodgers demanded it. Adams wants out of the Raiders, and with New York scrambling to make sense of their offense, the timing couldn't be more perfect. Stephen A. speculated, Rodgers has already gotten his coach fired. Now he's angling to bring in his favorite receiver. Is this the New York Jets or Aaron Rodgers Football Inc.? But pulling off the Adams trade isn't easy. The Raiders want a second-round pick and for a team to take on Adams' massive salary, an obstacle that has already scared off the Dallas Cowboys. Yet the Jets remain in the thick of the trade talks. Rodgers sees Adams as the key to saving the season, but is this just another case of Rodgers trying to stack the deck in his favor? And if the trade happens, will the Jets truly benefit? Or is Rodgers simply trying to relive his glory days? Robert Saleh never stood a chance. As Shannon Sharpe pointed out, the moment Rodgers didn't show up to minicamp, it was over for Saleh. The Jets brought in Rodgers to be their savior, but instead he's created chaos. The team has been stuck in neutral, and Saleh became the scapegoat. It's clear that Rodgers wasn't happy with Saleh. But was this all a setup? The offensive struggles were obvious, but they weren't all on Saleh. Nathaniel Hackett, Rodgers' right-hand man, runs the offense, and it's been a disaster. The Jets brought Hackett in because Rodgers wanted him, but when things went south, Saleh took the fall. Let's not forget, Rodgers is the one throwing interceptions. Rodgers is the one missing reads. Yet somehow the narrative has shifted to make Saleh the villain. Shannon Sharpe didn't mince words. Rodgers has gotten everything he wanted, and now the guy he threw under the bus is gone. But the real problem? It's still Aaron Rodgers. The Jets are 2-3, And while Saleh is no longer the head coach, nothing has changed. The offense is still struggling, the locker room is in disarray, and Rodgers isn't the player he used to be. The blame game is over. Now it's all on Rodgers. Let's not ignore the timing of all this. Saleh is fired, the Jets are in chaos, and suddenly rumors of Davante Adams to New York are picking up steam. Adams has been frustrated in Las Vegas, and his trade demands are well known. Could Rodgers be orchestrating the ultimate reunion behind the scenes? Kay Adams, host of Up and Adams, teased that something major involving Davante Adams could be happening soon.
They think your coach, or your coach did, I actually don't know, likes this post about you getting traded.
It's one of those situations where I just keep my head down and keep doing my thing, and let the chips fall where they may, as it pertains to that. But I haven't. There's been no communication with anybody from the team since that became a thing.
While she didn't confirm anything, it's clear that the rumor mill is in overdrive. The Saints and Jets are the top contenders, but with Saleh out of the way, the door's wide open for Rodgers to get what he wants. Again, if the Jets make this trade, it will be the clearest sign yet that Rodgers is running the show. With Saleh gone and the possibility of a Davante Adams trade looming, the Jets are at a crossroads. Aaron Rodgers has taken over, and with no one left to challenge him, the pressure is on. Will he rise to the occasion and turn this season around, or is this the beginning of a complete collapse in New York? If Adams joins the Jets, it could be the spark they need. But what if it doesn't work? What if Rodgers is no longer capable of being the quarterback he once was? Stephen A. warned, "There's no more room for excuses. Rodgers got his coach fired, he's getting his favorite receiver, and now it's all on him. If the Jets crash and burn, it's his legacy on the line." Robert Saleh's firing has sent shockwaves through the NFL, but the real story is Aaron Rodgers' rise to power in New York. With trade rumors swirling around Davante Adams and Rodgers pulling the strings behind the scenes, the Jets' future hangs in the balance. Will Rodgers lead the Jets to glory, or is this the beginning of a total collapse? One thing's for sure, this drama is far from over. Stay tuned, because the next move could change everything.
Out there that need a number one receiver, do not trust the chart, trust your eyes.
The NFL trade rumor mill is on fire, and Davante Adams is at the center of it all. Multiple teams, including the Steelers, Saints, Jets, and even the Bills and Chiefs, are vying for his services. But could Pittsburgh swoop in with the perfect offer? With Adams reportedly preferring a reunion with Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, the pressure is mounting. Meanwhile, the Raiders are in transition, with new head coach Antonio Pierce, uncertainty at quarterback, and a locker room in turmoil. Could the Steelers make a blockbuster move to land one of the league's most prolific receivers? Or will another team like the Saints or Jets beat them to it? Let's break down this wild trade rumor and what it means for the NFL.
Hearing is that here's what a lot of people think you may never play another down as a Raider. What would you say to that?
All I can control is this talk we're having right here, and then after we're done with this, all I can control is the next thing that I'm on to.
The NFL world is buzzing with trade speculation, and the potential swap of George Pickens for Davante Adams has quickly become one of the most talked about rumors. While the Pittsburgh Steelers and Las Vegas Raiders have yet to confirm any discussions, insiders have hinted that both teams could benefit from a deal that would send Pickens to Vegas and Adams to Pittsburgh. The timing couldn't be more perfect for the Steelers, who are reportedly one of the teams still bidding for Adams, along with the New York Jets, New Orleans Saints, Buffalo Bills, and Kansas City Chiefs. According to The Athletic, multiple teams have reached out to the Raiders about Adams, with Pittsburgh being a strong contender. But the Steelers aren't alone. The Saints and Jets are also heavily in the mix, with Adams reportedly expressing a preference to reunite with either Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. Adding even more intrigue, Kay Adams, host of Up and Adams, recently teased that something big involving Davante Adams could be happening soon.
I'm a little closer to the situation than I should be, but there's a couple teams. I think there's a sneaky team that a lot of people aren't talking about that could come in late. Last year when we were on this show together during the trade deadline, we predicted a trade as soon as we hung up. The Chase Young trade, we predicted it. As soon as we hung up, it happened. We can't do that again with Davante.
Are you saying we're going to get off the air and that trade's going to happen?
I think it's going to pick up here.
Okay, tell me this.
In the next few days.
Does in the next few days or weeks?
Fueling speculation that a trade is imminent. While Adams was ultimately not featured on her show, the rumor mill is now in overdrive, with fans wondering if the Steelers are on the verge of making a franchise-altering move. The Las Vegas Raiders are a team in transition, and their situation with Davante Adams only adds to the instability. Under new head coach Antonio Pierce, the Raiders are navigating significant changes, including uncertainty at the quarterback position. Pierce has named Aidan O'Connell as the starting QB for Week 6, following Gardner Minshew's recent benching, but the revolving door at quarterback has raised questions about the Raiders' future.
What do you think of their plan to basically let the two quarterbacks, Aidan O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, initially it was compete in practice, now it's going to be Aidan O'Connell. How do you navigate this as a coach where you just get to a point where you pick a guy and you're almost like an owner with a coach with a quarterback? At what point do you just pick a guy and let him do his thing?
Know that he's the guy. You have to let the team know that he's the guy so he can go out there and play free. And you can't play quarterback thinking, boy, if I don't have a good game, I'm going to be out of the lineup next week. If I don't make this third down throw.
Adams, who has been linked to trade demands, is reportedly unhappy with his role in the offense and has expressed interest in playing elsewhere. The Raiders are facing immense pressure to make a decision on Adams, who has a massive contract that the team may be eager to shed.
2 years left on his contract after this year, but his salaries in those years are over $35 million, non-guaranteed. He's not seeing that money. So this year he's making $16.89. If you trade for him now, you'd have to pay him around $14 million for the rest of the year and have that much cap space. That number will go down by about $968,000 each week. If you trade for him the week of the deadline, you probably end up having to pay him about $10 million for the rest of the year.
According to NFL insider Jordan Schultz, the Raiders are asking for a second-round pick while expecting the acquiring team to take on Adams' full salary, a demand that may be too steep for most teams. Despite this, the Raiders' need to move on from Adams is clear. With a desire to rebuild and a need for salary cap relief, trading Adams for a young, talented receiver like George Pickens could help them hit the reset button. Pickens, though inconsistent this season, has the potential to be a breakout star, and the Raiders could see him as a key piece in their long-term plans. For the Raiders, trading Adams and acquiring George Pickens could be a strategic move. Pickens, while still developing, has shown flashes of brilliance in his sophomore season with the Steelers. In 2024, he's recorded 23 receptions for 310 yards, including a standout 100-yard game against the Colts, but his overall production has been inconsistent. His limited play time against the Dallas Cowboys, where he only played 34 out of 58 snaps, raised questions about his future with the Steelers, fueling speculation that he could be on the trade block. If Pickens were to join the Raiders, he would likely slot in as their WR1, giving him the opportunity to fully develop into the star receiver many believe he can be. The Raiders, looking to shed Adams' salary and bring in fresh talent, could see Pickens as the ideal player to build around. And with the team undergoing significant changes, adding a young, dynamic receiver could be exactly what the Raiders need to kickstart their rebuild. Touchdown, but his talent and experience make him one of the most dangerous wide receivers in the NFL. He has struggled with consistency, and adding a veteran like Adams could help stabilize their passing game, especially with the Steelers' fluctuating quarterback situation. The Steelers are reportedly serious contenders in the Adams sweepstakes, alongside teams like the Jets and Saints. However, Pittsburgh may have an edge given their willingness to offer a player-for-player swap rather than just draft picks. If they can convince the Raiders to make the deal, Adams could instantly elevate the Steelers' offense and help them make a deep playoff run. The Saints and Jets also present intriguing options for Adams. He has expressed interest in reuniting with former teammates Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, but both teams face their own challenges. The Jets are dealing with the fallout from the firing of head coach Robert Saleh.
Saleh was going to relieve Nat Hackett, essentially firing Hackett but keeping him paid. He was going to relieve him of play calling duties. And after he did that, after word got out, he got fired immediately after. So can't I assume Hackett, who's buddies with Aaron, I mean, why is the timing so weird? It comes out of left field. Everybody's shocked, but it comes right after Saleh was going to relieve Hackett of his play calling duties. Again, that's basically being fired in the NFL.
100%. And Nathaniel Hackett, for lack of a better term, is not a good offensive coordinator. We've seen that time and time again. He's not a head coach either. The problem for Robert Saleh is he didn't have the relationship that Aaron has with Hackett. Now, I was told that Saleh and Aaron's relationship was fine.
While the Saints have struggled to find consistency on offense this season, despite this, both teams remain in the mix. Adams' frustrations with the Raiders have been well documented, and they largely stem from the team's inability to provide a quality quarterback.
Yes, because if you look at the beginning part of this season, it is very clear that Davante Adams is still the same Davante Adams. He is such a technician that absolutely he has the kind of game that sustains over well beyond the typical time.
Since Derek Carr's departure, Adams has been left without a reliable quarterback, and the Raiders' current options, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, haven't provided the consistency Adams needs. For a player of his caliber, playing without an elite quarterback is unacceptable, and it's been a major factor in Adams' desire to leave Las Vegas. The Raiders' 2-3 record reflects their struggles, and it's clear that the quarterback situation is holding them back. Adams has made it clear he wants to play with a top-tier quarterback again, and that's part of what makes teams like the Jets and Saints so appealing to him. Both teams offer the chance to reunite with former quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr, who helped elevate his game to new heights in the past. Despite the heavy interest in Adams, his trade is far from simple. One of the biggest challenges is his massive contract. The Raiders are asking for a second-round pick, while also expecting the acquiring team to take on Adams' full salary, which has made it difficult for teams to justify meeting their demands. NFL insider Jordan Schultz highlighted that teams view this as unrealistic, which is why negotiations have been slow.
So I think the Jets, let me be very clear. The Jets want Davante Adams. Davante Adams would love to be a Jet. And everyone I've talked to around the league, including executives, believe, Colin, that Davante Adams will be a Jet. There's a couple problems. The Raiders are demanding a second-round pick. No team, to my understanding, has come even remotely close to giving a second-round pick. The Raiders also do not want to eat a significant portion of Davante's salary. The longer this goes on, and I've said this, but the longer this goes on, the less leverage the Raiders have, and a team like a Buffalo or maybe a Baltimore could swoop in.
Additionally, Adams is currently nursing a hamstring injury, adding another layer of uncertainty. Teams are understandably cautious about trading significant assets for a player who isn't 100% healthy, and this could further complicate a potential deal. The Raiders may have to lower their asking price or risk keeping an unhappy player on their roster. With multiple teams still in the running for Davante Adams, the trade talks are heating up. The Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Jets, and New Orleans Saints are all heavily involved, while the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs are monitoring the situation closely. Adams' preference to reunite with Rodgers or Carr could give the Saints or Jets an edge, but the Steelers remain a strong contender, especially if they're willing to part with George Pickens in a blockbuster deal. Meanwhile, the Raiders are reportedly over-asking in trade talks, seeking a second-round pick and expecting the acquiring team to take on Adams' full salary. This has made negotiations challenging, with teams like the Cowboys backing out due to salary cap concerns. However, the Raiders may eventually be forced to lower their asking price if they want to move Adams before the trade deadline. With Adams sitting out Week 6 and rumors swirling, the stage is set for a potential trade in the coming days. The NFL trade deadline is fast approaching, and it's becoming clear that Davante Adams' time in Las Vegas may be coming to an end. As the NFL trade deadline inches closer, all eyes are on the Pittsburgh Steelers, New Orleans Saints, and New York Jets. Will one of these teams land Davante Adams, or will the Raiders hold firm on their asking price? With Kay Adams teasing a big move and multiple teams still in the mix, this trade saga is far from over. Stay tuned, because whichever team lands Adams could be making the biggest move of the season.
Look, if I'm Davante Adams, I want to go to the Chiefs. All right? Obviously, I have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm playing with a better quarterback, okay? But of the two teams, the Chiefs don't need him. They'd be better with him.
The Kansas City Chiefs may be undefeated, but they're skating on thin ice. Their wide receiver room, decimated. Hollywood Brown is out for the season. Rashee Rice is on injured reserve. Mecole Hardman is questionable. Patrick Mahomes is a magician, but even he can't make catches for himself. The clock is ticking, and the Chiefs need a game-changing move fast. Rumors are swirling, and two of the NFL's biggest names, DeAndre Hopkins and Davante Adams, could be headed to Kansas City. Their season? DeAndre Hopkins has been here before. Back in 2023, the Chiefs flirted with signing him. Now, a year later, his stint with the Titans is looking more like a placeholder than a new chapter. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Kansas City might just circle back for another shot at landing Hopkins. But here's the question. Is Hopkins still the elite receiver we saw in Houston and Arizona? At 32, with just 121 yards and 1 touchdown this season, the stats might say otherwise. Yet anyone who knows football knows that in the right system, Hopkins could still be a lethal weapon. And let's face it, Kansas City is the system. Imagine the chaos a Patrick Mahomes, DeAndre Hopkins connection would unleash. The Chiefs need a spark, and Hopkins could be the one to light the fuse. But then again, this isn't just about filling a hole in the roster. This is a chess move. Hopkins is nearing the twilight of his career. Would Kansas City take the risk and bet that they can squeeze one more dominant season out of him? Now here's where things get even more intriguing. Davante Adams, the star receiver of the Las Vegas Raiders, is reportedly done. According to insiders, Adams has informed the Raiders that he wants out, and speculation about his future is spinning out of control. Adams is tired of losing, tired of being underutilized, and tired of watching his prime years slip away in a situation that's going nowhere. The tension is palpable. But what if Adams landed in Kansas City? The thought alone sends chills down the spine of every AFC team. A Mahomes-Adams duo? That's a nightmare for defensive coordinators across the league. Here's the twist, though. Adams carries baggage, not just from his hefty contract, $15 million this season, and over $35 million each of the next 2 seasons, but also from that infamous 2022 post-game incident when he shoved a cameraman after losing to, yes, the Chiefs. Is Kansas City willing to bury the hatchet for the sake of championship glory? And let's not forget the financial reality. Can Kansas City even afford Adams? The Chiefs have already been tight with their salary cap. Could they pull off a miracle deal? It feels like a long shot, but this is the NFL. Long shots happen. According to reports, the trade talks surrounding Adams are only going to heat up as we near week 6. Right now, his hamstring injury has hit the pause button, but once there's clarity on his return, all bets are off. Teams like the New Orleans Saints and New York Jets are reportedly eyeing Adams, especially with the chance to reunite him with former quarterbacks Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. But here's the kicker. What if Adams is waiting for Kansas City? What if he's dropping cryptic hints on social media like that Edgar Allan Poe post for a reason? The trade talks could explode any day now. And if Kansas City steps in at the last minute, it would send shockwaves across the NFL. Is Adams' desire to leave the Raiders so strong that he would make concessions to join a Super Bowl contender? All eyes are on Vegas and Kansas City, waiting to see who blinks first. Landing either Adams or Hopkins isn't just about talent, it's about dollars and cents. Adams' contract is a mountain. Even if Kansas City pulls off a miracle trade, they'll have to navigate the cap space with the precision of a tightrope walker. And what about Hopkins? While his deal is smaller, he's still not a bargain buy. For a team already loaded with massive, maybe a trade with the Jets if New York manages to land Adams themselves. But that feels like a backup plan, doesn't it?